Billionaire's daughter gives a plate of food to a homeless woman in the cold. What her father does next surprises everyone. The waiter placed the steaming plate on the table. Emily clapped her hands, her blue eyes shining with joy. "Daddy, it's here." "The pasta is here." Richard Coleman looked up from his cell phone for a second, saw his daughter smiling and went back to the screen. Another meeting cancelled. The Japanese investor wanted to reschedule. Again. That's nice, sweetie," he murmured, typing a quick reply. Emily picked up the small fork and twirled the strands of pasta. The Bella Vista restaurant was crowded on that Friday night. Conversations mingled with the clinking of glasses and silverware. Golden lights made everything cozy, and the smell of Italian food hung in the air. She took her first bite. It was delicious. Melted cheese, creamy sauce, exactly how she liked it. But something caught her attention. Outside, beyond the large glass window, a young woman was standing on the sidewalk. Long blonde hair swayed in the night wind, her light-colored eyes fixed on the restaurant tables. She was shivering. Emily stopped eating and watched with curiosity. The woman wasn't just casually looking. She was watching the plates, the food, the people eating, and she seemed sad. Very sad. "Daddy," Emily called. Richard kept typing, frowning at the screen. "Daddy," she repeated, louder. "1 minute, Emily. Daddy is handling something important for work." The little girl sighed and looked back out the window. The woman was still there, hugging herself to keep warm. Her clothes looked worn by time. She wasn't wearing a coat, despite the cold October night. Richard's phone rang. "Hello, yes, Johnson, I'm here." "What do you mean they want to change Clause 15 now?" Emily rolled her eyes. When Daddy answered the phone during dinner, it took forever. She continued to watch the people around her, but her eyes always returned to the woman outside. Why was that lady there? Why didn't she come into the restaurant to warm up? She seemed to be watching every plate that passed by the tables. Emily took a few more bites, but she couldn't stop looking. The woman moved a little, trying to shield herself from the wind that blew her blonde hair, but she remained glued to the glass. Her blue eyes seemed mesmerized by the movement inside the restaurant. Suddenly, Emily understood everything. The woman was hungry, really hungry, and cold. And she probably had no money to buy food. That's why she stood outside, just watching, wishing she could come in. The little girl's heart ached. She looked at her plate, still quite full, then at the thin woman outside, then at her father, who hadn't even noticed the situation. "Doed Johnson, that will delay everything." "I can't accept these changes," Richard said, irritated. Emily made a decision. Carefully, she held the plate with her 2 small hands. It was heavy and hot. Steam rose from the creamy sauce. She almost spilled it when she got up from her chair, but she managed to keep her balance. "Daddy, I'll be right back," she said softly. Richard waved distractedly, still glued to his phone call. Emily walked slowly between the tables. The plate was heavy for her 5-year-old hands, but she focused on each step. Some adults looked curiously at the little girl carrying food by herself. A couple at the next table smiled, finding the scene cute. The restaurant manager noticed her as she approached the door. "Hey, is everything all right, dear? Do you need some help?" "No, thank you. I'm just going outside for a second." "But it's cold out there, little one. Are you sure?" "Yes, I'm sure." The manager hesitated, but he saw Richard still on the phone and decided to let the girl go. Emily pushed the glass door with her shoulder. The cold night wind hit her face as soon as she stepped onto the sidewalk. It was much colder than she had imagined. The blonde woman turned, surprised to see a child coming out of the restaurant alone, carrying a steaming plate. "Here, eat this. It's warm," Emily said, smiling and holding out the plate. The woman looked at the little girl, then at the plate of pasta, then back at Emily. Her light-colored eyes widened in surprise. What are you doing, sweetie?" "I saw you looking at the food from inside. You're hungry, right?" The woman swallowed hard. Tears began to form in her blue eyes. I can't accept this." "Yes, you can." Emily held out the plate again. "I've already eaten a lot, and it's really yummy. But it's your food, and I want to share it with you. What's your name?" "Martha," the woman replied, her voice choked with emotion. "Hi, Martha, I'm Emily. Take the plate. Go on." "Your hands are shaking." Martha hesitated for a few seconds, looking around. Her hands were trembling visibly, whether from cold or emotion, she didn't know. Finally, she reached out and took the warm plate. "Thank you so much," she said, tears streaming down her face. "Thank you so much, little angel." "You're welcome." Emily clapped her hands, happy. "Eat it quickly before it gets cold." Inside, Richard finally hung up the phone and looked up. Emily's chair was empty. He looked around the dining room, searching for his daughter. "Emily!" he called, loud enough for a few people to look over. No sign of her. Richard's heart began to race. Where on earth had she gone? He stood up quickly, nearly knocking over his wine glass. "Emily!" he shouted louder. Now several customers were staring at him. Richard began to walk hastily through the restaurant, checking the restroom, the hallways. "Excuse me," he said to the manager. "Have you seen a little blonde girl about 5 years old?" "Yes, I did, sir." "She went out the front door a few minutes ago carrying a plate." "She went out?" Richard's blood ran cold. "By herself?" Richard ran towards the door, his heart pounding erratically. He pushed the glass door open forcefully and stepped out onto the cold sidewalk. The scene he found left him speechless. Emily was talking to a young woman who was holding her plate of pasta. The woman was crying but smiling at the same time, bringing small forkfuls to her mouth. "Thank you, little angel," Martha was saying, her voice thick with emotion. "You have a beautiful heart." Richard stood still for a few seconds, processing the scene. His little daughter had given her own food to a stranger who clearly needed the meal much more. "Emily," he finally said, approaching them. "You had me worried. What are you doing out here?" "Daddy!" Emily turned to him, beaming. "This is Martha. She was hungry, so I brought her my pasta." Martha immediately tried to give the plate back. "I'm sorry, sir, I didn't ask her for anything. She came up to me." "No, Martha." Emily held the woman's arm. "Ja, the food is yours now," Richard observed Martha. She looked to be in her early 30s, blonde hair that must have once been well cared for, kind but tired blue eyes. Her clothes were clean, but worn from use, and she was shivering from the cold. Something stirred in Richard's chest. "You're not giving the plate back," he said, surprising himself. "Ah, but how about eating somewhere warmer? It's very cold out here." Martha hesitated. I don't have any money to pay." "Nobody is asking for money," Emily said. "Come eat with us, Martha." Richard felt something move inside his chest. His daughter's simplicity, the gratitude in Martha's eyes. "Emily is right," he said. "Please, join us." They went back inside the restaurant. The manager quickly arranged for an extra chair. Martha sat down slowly, still holding the plate as if it might disappear. "I'm Richard Coleman. This is my daughter, Emily." "Martha Stevens, it's a pleasure to meet you, and thank you so much." "Do you like pasta, Martha?" Emily asked. "I love it." Martha tried another forkful and closed her eyes. "Wow, this is delicious. It's been a long time since I've eaten something like this." "It's the best pasta in the city. Daddy always brings me here on Fridays." Richard watched Martha eat. She ate slowly, savoring each bite as if it were precious. When was the last time she had a full meal? "Are you from around here?" he asked. "Born here, yes, I lived here my whole life." "Lived?" Emily frowned. "Did you move?" Martha smiled sadly. "It's a little complicated, sweetie." Richard motioned for Emily not to press, but she continued. "Where do you live now?" Martha hesitated. "Right now?" "I don't have a permanent home." "What do you mean?" "Sometimes I can stay in shelters, other times on the street." Emily's fork stopped in mid-air. "On the street?" Her eyes widened. "But that's dangerous and cold." "It is, sweetie, but sometimes it's what you have." Richard felt a lump in his throat. He signaled for the waiter. "Could you bring a menu?" he said. Then he turned to Martha. "Order whatever you like." "I can't accept anything else." "Yes, you can," said Emily. "Daddy has lots of money." "Emily," Richard laughed awkwardly. "It's true. You always say we have a comfortable life." Martha laughed too, and Richard noticed how her face transformed when she smiled. Your daughter is very special, she said. That she is. Martha ordered a vegetable soup. She ate slowly, talking with Emily about silly things. What was her favorite color, if she liked cartoons? And you, Martha, Richard asked, what did you do before your current situation? Her face lit up. I owned a restaurant. It was small, but it was mine. I made comfort food, lasagna, cakes, pies. You know how to cook, Emily perked up. I do. I learned from my grandmother. She always said that food made with love feeds the heart along with the stomach. What a beautiful saying. And where was your restaurant? Sadness returned to Martha's eyes. It was on Oak Street. It was called Taste of Home, but it closed about 6 months ago. Why? Richard asked. The economy got tough. People stopped coming. I tried to hold on as long as I could, but the debts kept piling up. Rent, suppliers. Her voice cracked. I lost everything, literally everything. Emily held Martha's hand. That's so sad. You must have been very upset. I still am. That restaurant was my dream, you know. I worked for years to open it, and in a few months, poof, it was all gone. Do you have any family who can help? Richard asked. I don't have anyone. My parents died when I was a teenager. I was raised by my grandmother, but she passed away 3 years ago. So I'm all alone. All alone? Emily looked shocked. But that's so sad. It is sad, sweetie. But today, Martha smiled at both of them. Today, I found 2 guardian angels. They finished eating. Richard insisted that Martha order dessert, which she eventually accepted. A piece of chocolate pie that she ate with her eyes closed. They left the restaurant together. At the door, Martha thanked them with tears in her eyes. Thank you so much for everything. You saved my day. Actually, you saved my whole week. It was a pleasure meeting you, Richard said. Martha bent down and kissed Emily's forehead. Thank you for everything, little angel. You reminded me that there are still good people in this world. Emily hugged her tightly. Martha waved and started walking down the sidewalk, disappearing into the darkness of the street. In the car, Emily was quiet for several minutes, looking out the window. Richard turned on the heater. It was cold out there, wasn't it? It was? She turned to him. Daddy, Martha is a very nice person. She seems to be, and she was very hungry. She was. Emily grew thoughtful. Daddy? Yes? You have a generous heart, she said, smiling. Richard was surprised. Me? Why? Because you let Martha eat with us, and you paid for her food, and you were kind. You're the one with the generous heart, Emily. You're the one who gave her your pasta. Emily shook her head. We have generous hearts together, like a real family. Richard's heart warmed. Sometimes Emily said things that surprised him. You're right, sweetie. They were silent for a few minutes, each lost in thought. Then Emily spoke again. Daddy? Yes, sweetie. Can we do more for her, Daddy? She lives on the street. The question hit Richard like a punch to the gut. He looked at his daughter in the rearview mirror, seeing her blue eyes full of concern. What do you mean, Emily? Martha doesn't have a home. She doesn't have a family. She doesn't have food every day. Emily's eyes filled with tears. And we have our big house and food all the time, and we're warm. It's not fair, Daddy. Richard swallowed hard. He didn't know what to say. His daughter's simple question stirred something deep inside him. The question echoed in his mind for the rest of the drive home, and it would continue to echo for a long time after. Richard woke up early on Saturday. He had slept poorly all night. Emily's question echoed in his mind without stopping. Can we do more for her, Daddy? He got up at 6 in the morning, took a hot shower, and went down to the kitchen. The house was completely silent. Emily was still fast asleep. He made coffee alone in the mansion's enormous kitchen, hearing only the sound of the old clock on the wall and the wind rustling the tall trees in the garden. He sat at the large table, which could easily seat 8 people, and drank his coffee in silence. The house was beautiful, but too cold. He had always found it too big for 2 people. Maybe it was finally time to do something about that situation. He grabbed his car keys and left without waking Emily. 20 minutes later, he parked in front of the Bella Vista restaurant. The place was closed on Saturday mornings, but Richard knew Martha would probably be nearby. As she had said the night before, she usually stayed in the area during the day. He began to walk the streets around the restaurant. He checked the nearest park, then the side streets, the public benches. Nothing. He was starting to think he wouldn't find her when he decided to go to Oak Street, where her old restaurant used to be. That's exactly where he found her. Martha was sitting on a bench on the sidewalk, a few blocks from where Taste of Home used to be. She was reading an old book with pages yellowed by time, her blonde hair shining in the soft morning sun. She was wearing the same clothes as the night before, but they were clean and tidy. Richard approached slowly, not wanting to startle her. "Martha." She looked up from her book, completely surprised. "Richard, what? How did you find me here?" "You said yesterday that you stay in the area during the day. I decided to come look for you." Martha closed the book carefully and stood up, clearly nervous about his presence. "Did something serious happen? Is Emily okay?" "Emily is fine. In fact, it's because of her that I came to find you." "Because of her?" Richard pointed to the empty bench. "May I sit for a minute?" Martha hesitated for a moment, then nodded. They sat down with a respectful space between them. "Yesterday on the way home, Emily asked a question that I couldn't get out of my head all night." Martha waited in silence, holding the book tightly in her lap. "She asked if we could do more for you. She said it wasn't fair that you don't have a home, family, or food every day, while we have all of that to spare at home." "Children say things like that," Martha said with a sad smile. "They don't understand how the world really works yet." "Maybe they don't, or maybe they understand it much better than adults do." Martha looked at him with growing, genuine curiosity. "What exactly do you mean by that?" Richard took several deep breaths. He had thought about this moment all morning, rehearsed the words in the car, but now that he was here, it all seemed more complicated than he had imagined. "You said yesterday that you know how to cook very well." "I do." "And that you had your own restaurant." "I did, that's right." "So you know how to work hard. You know how to fend for yourself, to take care of yourself." "Of course I do. I'm just in a very difficult situation right now, but I'm not lazy or a freeloader." Richard turned to look her directly in the eyes. "Would you like to work at my house as a housekeeper?" "With room and board included and a fair salary." Martha blinked several times in a row, as if she hadn't quite understood the words. "I'm sorry. What?" "I have a very large house. Too large for just 2 people, actually. It has several empty bedrooms, a huge kitchen we barely use, rooms that stay closed most of the time, and I work too much. I don't have time to take care of the house as I should." Martha continued to look at him without saying anything, the book clutched to her chest. "You would have your own large bedroom with a private bathroom, all meals included, a fixed salary every month. And Emily would love to have you around. She hasn't stopped talking about you since last night." Are you being completely serious right now?" "Completely serious." Martha ran a hand through her blonde hair, clearly trying to process the completely unexpected offer. "But Richard, you barely know me. You barely know who I really am." "I know enough to make this decision. I saw how you treated Emily yesterday. I saw the genuine gratitude in your eyes. I saw that you ate slowly, savoring each bite as if it were precious. And Emily has an incredible instinct for recognizing truly good people." "Richard, I really don't know what to say right now." "Then just say yes." Martha laughed softly, but tears were forming in her light blue eyes. "Are you absolutely sure about all this? You won't regret it later. I'm completely sure." Martha was silent for a long moment, looking at the book in her hands, then at the street where her old restaurant was, then back at Richard. "Okay," she said, her voice choked with emotion. "I accept your offer." Richard smiled for the first time since he had woken up that morning. "Perfect. Shall we go get your things then?" Martha laughed again, but this time with much less sadness. "I don't have any things to get. Everything I own in the entire world is in this bag right here next to me." She pointed to a small, old canvas bag resting on the bench. "Then let's go straight home." The Coleman mansion was in the most affluent and expensive neighborhood in the city, an imposing 2-story house with extensive, well-manicured gardens, a 4-car garage, a large pool in the back, and a complete outdoor kitchen area. Martha looked out the car window the entire way, impressed by the size and elegance of the houses. "Oh, my goodness, Richard, your house really is huge. It's too big, I've always thought so. My wife wanted a house like this when we bought it, so we bought it. After she passed away, I never seriously thought about moving." "Was Emily born in this house?" "She was, but she and I basically just live on the ground floor. The upstairs bedrooms are hardly ever used for anything." They entered through the imposing and elegant front door. The entrance hall had a very high ceiling, a polished white marble staircase, and expensive paintings on the walls. All very beautiful and extremely elegant, but as cold as a museum. "Emily!" Richard called out. "Come downstairs. I have a special surprise for you." They heard footsteps running upstairs, then down the marble staircase. "Daddy, you left so early. I didn't see when you—" "Martha!" Emily appeared in the hall, still in her pink pajamas, her blonde hair a complete mess from sleep. When she saw Martha standing there, her blue eyes widened with pure joy. "Martha! What are you doing at our house?" "Your father offered me a job here," Martha said, opening her arms to welcome the little girl. "A job, here at our house, for real." "That's right," Richard confirmed, smiling at his daughter's radiant happiness. "Martha is going to work here with us and live here too," Emily shouted with joy and ran to hug Martha with all her might. "Really? You're going to live here with us?" "If you'll both have me," Martha said, returning the tight hug. "Of course we will. It's going to be the most amazing and wonderful thing in the whole world." Richard spent the whole morning showing Martha all the rooms in the house. The kitchen was indeed huge, with a large central island, a double oven, a gigantic refrigerator, and every modern and expensive appliance imaginable. The living room had expensive leather sofas and an ornate marble fireplace. The dining room could easily seat 12 people. "And we usually order takeout or heat up frozen things from the supermarket," Richard explained, a little embarrassed by the situation. "I don't have time to cook, and Emily will eat anything I put in front of her." "I can cook real meals for you too, if you'd like," Martha offered enthusiastically. "I don't just have to clean and tidy the house. That would be absolutely fantastic. Emily would love real homemade food every day." They went up to the second floor of the mansion. Richard showed her 3 huge guest bedrooms, all with private bathrooms and beautiful, expensive furniture that looked like it had never been used. "Choose whichever one you prefer. They are all completely available." Martha chose the middle room, which had a very large window with a beautiful view of the well-kept backyard garden. The room was significantly larger than the entire apartment where she had lived before losing her restaurant. "It's absolutely perfect," she said, placing her small bag on the king-size bed. "Good, tomorrow we'll go out to buy clothes and everything else you need," Richard said. "You don't have to bother." "Yes, I do. It's part of our agreement." Emily spent the rest of the morning completely attached to Martha. She showed her all her favorite corners of the house, her toys scattered around her room, her large collection of books, her drawings carefully stored in a special folder. Martha listened to everything with genuine interest, asking curious questions and laughing at the girls' animated stories. At lunchtime, Martha insisted on cooking something special. "Let me see what you have in that big fridge of yours." She found fresh eggs, cheese, ham, ripe tomatoes, and a few other vegetables. In just half an hour, she prepared perfect omelettes, golden and creamy, served with a fresh, colorful salad. "Wow, Martha," said Richard, taking a careful first bite. "This is absolutely delicious." "It's 1,000 times better than those tasteless frozen things we always eat," Emily declared enthusiastically. "I promise to cook real homemade meals for you every day," Martha said, smiling. In the afternoon, Emily ran to get her entire collection of colored pencils and a stack of white paper. "I'm going to make a very special drawing for you, Martha." They sat together at the large living room table. Emily put her all into the drawing, a large house with 3 smiling people in front, a tall man with dark hair, a blonde woman in a blue dress, and a little girl right in the middle of them. Below she wrote in still crooked but very careful letters, "My new happy family." Martha held the drawing with the utmost care. It's beautiful, Emily. It's the most beautiful drawing I've ever seen in my whole life. I'll keep it forever. Really and truly. Really and truly. I'm going to put it on my bedroom wall today. Emily clapped her hands, completely radiant with happiness. At night, Martha completely outdid herself for dinner. She prepared roast chicken seasoned with fresh herbs, golden roasted potatoes, steamed colorful vegetables, and a simple homemade chocolate cake for dessert. The dining room table, which was rarely used, was set with a beautiful tablecloth, porcelain plates, and even lit candles. "Martha, you didn't have to go to so much trouble," said Richard, genuinely impressed. "It's not trouble when you do it with love and pleasure," she replied, smiling. During the delicious dinner, Emily made a special request. "Martha, tell me a cool story." "What kind of story would you like to hear?" "Any kind. Do you know how to tell cool stories?" Martha smiled with motherly affection. "My grandmother used to tell me wonderful stories when I was little, like you. I can tell you one she always used to tell." "Tell me, please." Martha began an enchanted story about a very brave princess who, instead of running from scary dragons, helped them solve their difficult problems and became great friends with them. Emily listened completely fascinated, asking curious questions and offering creative suggestions for the story. Richard also found himself paying attention, relaxed in a way he hadn't felt in a long time. When it was time for Emily to go to bed, Martha naturally offered to accompany her. "Can I brush my teeth in your bathroom, Martha?" "Of course you can, sweetie. Feel free to use it any time." Richard stayed in the living room and heard joyful laughter coming from upstairs. Real, spontaneous laughter, full of pure and genuine joy. It had been far too long since he had heard that wonderful sound filling the empty hallways of the house. When Martha came down, she found Richard in the living room, trying to read work reports. Did Emily fall asleep quickly? She fell asleep super fast. I think she was exhausted from all the excitement of the day. Richard put the papers aside, giving up on work completely. "Martha, thank you so much for all of this, for accepting the offer, for being so affectionate with Emily, for bringing new life into this house. Thank you, Richard, for giving me this incredible opportunity when I needed it most. I don't even know how I'll ever be able to repay so much generosity. You're already repaying it perfectly. Just look at how different the house is today. It's full of life." Martha looked around the room attentively. It was true. There were used plates on the dining table, the pleasant smell of homemade food still in the air, Emily's colorful drawings scattered on the sofa, cushions disarranged where they had been sitting. "Your house is really beautiful, Richard," she said sincerely, "but it was very, very quiet before. Too quiet. I work so much that sometimes I completely forget to live life." They sat in comfortable silence for a few minutes. "Richard?" "Yes." "Can I ask about Emily's mother? You don't have to answer if you don't want to talk about it." "She passed away when Emily was only 2, a very aggressive cancer. It was all very fast and difficult. I'm so sorry. Those were very difficult years for both of us. Emily barely remembers her, unfortunately. I tried to be both a father and a mother, but work consumes too much time." Martha stood up gently. "I'll let you finish your work. Thank you again for everything, Richard." Martha went up to her new room. She placed Emily's drawing on the nightstand and lay down on the softest bed she had ever slept in. For the first time in 6 long months, she didn't have to worry about where she would sleep the next day. Downstairs, Richard put away the reports without finishing any of them. He went up to say goodnight to Emily and found her fast asleep, hugging her favorite teddy bear. There was a serene smile on her little face. He passed by Martha's room. The door was ajar and he saw a small light on. She was organizing her few belongings and hanging Emily's drawing on the wall, just as she had promised she would. Richard went to his own room, smiling genuinely. The house was different. It had life again. It had human warmth. The Coleman mansion, once cold and silent, was finally breathing with life again. On Monday morning, Martha woke up at 6. She had slept better than she had in months, but the habit of waking up early remained. She went down to the kitchen and found Richard already dressed, drinking black coffee and looking at his phone. "Good morning," she said shyly. Good morning, Martha. Did you sleep well? Very well, thank you. Richard finished his coffee quickly. I have a meeting at 7:30. Emily wakes up at 7. She usually has milk with cereal. I'll leave some money on the table for you to order food for lunch. I can cook, Martha offered, if you have the ingredients. The fridge is full. Help yourself. He left in a hurry. Martha was left alone in the huge kitchen. She opened the refrigerator and sighed. It was full of expensive products, but nothing went together. Imported cheeses, wines, sophisticated pâtés, but nothing for a simple meal. At 7 o'clock sharp, Emily came downstairs in her pajamas, rubbing her eyes. Good morning, Martha. Good morning, sweetie. How about a special breakfast today? Emily's face lit up. What are you going to make? Martha looked at the available ingredients. How about pancakes? I have flour, eggs, milk. I've never had real pancakes, only the frozen kind. Martha smiled. Then today will be your first time. She mixed the batter while Emily watched, fascinated. The sweet smell of the first pancake on the griddle filled the kitchen. Wow, that smells so good, Emily said, bouncing in her chair. Martha served 3 golden pancakes with honey. All done? Emily took the first bite and her eyes lit up. Martha, this is so yummy. It tastes like happy food. Happy food. Yes, it makes you happy on the inside when you eat it, Martha laughed. Happy food. I like that name. For lunch, Martha prepared a simple grilled cheese sandwich with tomato soup. Emily ate everything, once again declaring it was happy food. That evening, when Richard got home from work, he found the table set in the kitchen, not in the formal dining room, but at the small, cozier kitchen table. What's this? He asked, surprised by the smell. Martha made a real dinner, said Emily, running to hug him. And it's not sad food like always. Sad food? That frozen stuff, Martha makes happy food. Richard sat at the table. Martha served a simple dish, grilled chicken with herb-seasoned rice and a fresh salad. Martha, you didn't have to. It was my pleasure. Richard took the first bite. The flavor surprised him. It was simple, but perfect. The chicken was tender, the rice flavorful without being overpowering, the salad fresh and crisp. This is very good, he said sincerely. Really? Really? I haven't eaten something like this in a long time. Emily clapped her hands. I told you. Happy food. On Tuesday, Martha woke up even earlier. She went to the market with the list Richard had left, but she bought different ingredients. Instead of gourmet products, she bought simple things: ripe tomatoes, onions, garlic, fresh herbs. She made a full breakfast, creamy scrambled eggs, golden toast, and cut fruit. Emily ate everything, talking about the drawings she would make for Martha during the day. For lunch, she prepared a colorful omelette with vegetables. Emily helped break the eggs. Can I stir it? Of course, you can. Emily stirred the batter with excessive care, her tongue sticking out in concentration. I'm making happy food too. Yes, you are, sweetie. In the evening, Martha went the extra mile. She made a simple beef stew with potatoes and carrots. The smell filled the entire house. Richard arrived and stopped at the kitchen door. What's that smell? Stew, said Martha, stirring the pot. It smells like Grandma's house. Emily laughed. Martha cooks like a grandma, food that hugs your tummy. During dinner, Richard ate more slowly than usual. My Martha, where did you learn to cook like this? From my grandmother, like I said. She used to say that good food doesn't have to be complicated, it just needs to be made with care. She was right. Did you really like it? I know you're used to expensive restaurants. That's exactly why. Sometimes you forget that simple food can be the best. Emily nodded vigorously. Happy food is better than fancy food. The rest of the week followed the same pattern. Every morning, Martha woke up early and prepared a homemade breakfast. Emily always helped, declaring they were making happiness in the pan. On Wednesday, she made freshly baked cheese biscuits. Emily stood at the oven door, waiting for them to rise. They're getting chubby, she said, laughing. Just like you'll get if you eat too many, Martha joked. I don't care. I want to get chubby from happy food. On Thursday, She prepared a simple chocolate cake for dessert. Emily helped lick the bowl. Martha? Yes? Why is your food different? Different how? It makes us want to stay together. The food before made us eat quickly and go do other things. Martha stopped stirring the batter. Maybe because I make it thinking of you two. What do you mean? When I cook, I think about how much you'll enjoy it. If it will make you happy. Emily hugged Martha's waist. That's why it's happy food, because it has love inside. On Friday, Richard came home from work early. He found Martha and Emily in the kitchen, making cookies. Emily had flour on her nose and was smiling radiantly. "Daddy, look what we made!" Richard watched the scene. The kitchen was an organized mess. Dirty bowls in the sink, flour on the counter, but the smell was incredible. And Emily was happier than he had seen her in a long time. "Did you two have fun?" "A lot," said Emily. "Martha taught me how to make heart shapes." Richard looked at Martha, who was wiping her hands on her apron. "Thank you," he said softly. "For what?" "For making Emily smile like that." "For making the house smell like a home." Martha smiled, blushing. "It's just food." "It's not just food, it's—" He paused, searching for the right words. "It's care." During dinner that night, Richard ate even more slowly. The dish was simple, grilled fish with mashed potatoes and steamed green beans, but every bite tasted of home, of family. "Well, Martha." "Yes." "Can I ask you a personal question?" "Of course." "In your restaurant, did you cook like this too?" Martha thought for a moment. "I did, but it was different." "How so?" "There, I cooked for customers. Here, I cook for you." It makes all the difference in the world. Emily, who was more interested in making mountains with her mashed potatoes, looked up. "What's the difference?" "When I cook for you, I put a little piece of my heart in every dish." Richard felt something stir in his chest. How long had it been since someone cooked for him like that? How long had it been since he'd eaten something made with so much care? "The food is yummy because you like us," Emily asked. "I'm liking you more and more every day," Martha said sincerely. Emily smiled, satisfied. "So it's going to get yummier and yummier." "Because we like you more and more too." Richard watched the two of them and realized something had changed in his house. It wasn't just the food, it was the feeling of belonging, of mutual care, of a family forming naturally around the table. For the first time in years, dinner wasn't just a necessity. It was a moment of connection, warmed by the love Martha put into every meal. Happy food, as Emily called it. And it truly was. It was a Thursday night. Emily had fallen asleep early after a day full of playing in the garden. Martha was finishing washing the dinner dishes in the kitchen when Richard appeared at the door. "Can I help?" "It's almost done," she said, drying her hands on a towel. "Just need to put these pots away." Richard came closer and started putting the plates in the cabinet. They worked in silence for a few minutes, a natural rhythm they had developed over the past few weeks. "Martha?" "Yes?" "Would you like some tea or coffee?" She looked at him, surprised. Usually, after dinner, Richard went up to his office to work. Sure, tea would be nice. Richard put water on to boil while Martha finished wiping down the counter. He seemed nervous, fidgeting with the cups unnecessarily. "Is everything okay?" she asked. "Yes, it is. I just wanted to talk." They sat at the small kitchen table with their steaming mugs. The house was quiet, with only the sound of the clock on the wall and the wind outside. "Martha, can I ask you a question?" "Of course. How do you feel living here? Truly, you can be honest." Martha stirred her tea, thoughtful. "I feel at home, for the first time in a long time. Even as an employee. I don't feel like an employee. I feel part of something." Richard nodded, looking into his mug. "I'm glad to hear that. Why?" Because I know what it's like to not have a place to belong." Martha looked at him attentively. There was something different in his voice. "What do you mean?" Richard took a deep breath. "Can I tell you something I've never told anyone?" "Of course you can. I wasn't born rich." Martha blinked, surprised. She glanced around the luxurious kitchen, then back at him. What do you mean? I grew up in a very poor neighborhood on the other side of town. My mother was a cleaner. My father left when I was 6. Really? Really? We lived in a tiny apartment, with leaks in the ceiling and cockroaches in the kitchen. Martha leaned forward, interested. And how did you get here? Richard smiled sadly. Luck. And good people who helped me along the way. Tell me more. My mother cleaned offices at night. I went with her because there was no one to stay with me. I did my homework in the empty rooms using the light from the buildings. How difficult. It was. But there was a man, the owner of one of the companies, Mr. Peterson. He always came in late and would find me there, studying. And then, one day he stopped and asked what I was doing. I explained the situation. The next day, he brought me books. Martha smiled. How kind. That was just the beginning. He found out I was good at math. He started giving me problems to solve, like it was a game. Richard paused to take a sip of his tea. When I turned 15, he offered me a part-time job in the office. Filing papers, making coffee, simple things, but he paid me well. And your mother? She was suspicious at first. She thought no one would do that without wanting something in return, but Mr. Peterson was genuine. He was a good person. The best. He paid for my college, all of it. Said I was too smart to waste my life. Martha felt her eyes well up. What a beautiful story. It's not over. When I graduated, he offered me a position at his company. I started as an assistant, but I learned quickly. And after that, I worked hard, very hard. I worked overtime, studied at home, proposed solutions to problems no one asked for. And it paid off. It did. When Mr. Peterson retired, he made me a partner. He said I had transformed the company into something much bigger. Richard looked out the kitchen window. He died 2 years later. It was like losing a father. I'm sorry. The company grew. I became rich, bought this house. But I never forgot where I came from. Martha was moved. That's why you helped me, because someone helped you too. Exactly. Mr. Peterson always said that good people recognize other good people, and that we have to pay forward the kindness we receive. He was right. Richard turned to look directly at Martha. When I saw you that night, and I saw Emily giving you food, I thought of Mr. Peterson. I thought of how he saw something in me that I didn't even know existed. And you saw something in me. I saw a hard-working, kind person who hadn't given up despite everything. I saw someone who deserved a chance. Martha wiped away a tear that had escaped. Thank you for giving me that chance. Thank you for accepting it. They sat in silence for a few minutes, each lost in thought. Richard? Yes? Can I confess something too? Of course. Since my restaurant closed, I felt invisible, like I didn't matter to anyone in the world. And now I feel seen, cared for. Like I matter. You do matter, Martha. To Emily, to me, to this house. Sometimes I still can't believe I'm here. Believe it. You deserve to be here. Martha smiled through her tears. You know what else? What? For the first time since I lost everything, I feel like I have a purpose again. What purpose? To take care of you both. To make Emily smile. To prepare happy food every day. Richard chuckled softly. Happy food. Emily came up with the perfect term. She really did. Because that's exactly what I do. I put happiness in the food. And it works. The house is completely different since you arrived. It's different for me too. Before I cooked to survive. Now I cook for love. Richard reached his hand across the table. Martha hesitated, then took it. Martha, I want you to know that you're not just an employee here. You are family. Really, really. Emily adores you. And I also really like having you here. I like being here too, a lot. Then it's settled. This is your home. Our home. Martha squeezed his hand. Thank you, Richard, for everything, for seeing me, for giving me a chance, for making me feel like I belong somewhere again. Thank you for bringing life into our home, for taking care of Emily, for teaching us what happy food is. They laughed together. "I think Mr. Peterson would be proud of you," said Martha. "I think so too. He always said that true success is measured by the kindness we spread. Then you are very successful. We are being successful together." Martha stood up to wash the mugs. "Martha." "Yes. Thank you for listening to me. It's been a long time since I've talked about my story. Thank you for trusting me. Always." That night, Martha went up to her room feeling lighter. She finally understood why Richard had been so kind to her. It wasn't pity, it was recognition. It was someone who had been through hardship recognizing another person in the same situation. Richard felt different too. Sharing his story with Martha had created a new connection between them. It was no longer just boss and employee. It was a partnership, a chosen family, united by mutual understanding. The next morning, when Martha came down to make breakfast, she found a note on the table. "Martha, thank you for the conversation last night. Today I want you to choose what we have for dinner. Anything that makes you happy, R." She smiled, tucking the note into her pocket. She was going to prepare her grandmother's favorite dish. Happy food for a family that was learning to be happy together. Martha woke up on a Saturday morning with a different feeling in her chest. It had been 3 weeks since she had arrived at the Coleman's house, and for the first time in a long time, she woke up without the familiar tightness of anxiety in her stomach. She went down to the kitchen and found Emily already awake, sitting at the table with her colored pencils spread all over. "Good morning, sweetie. You're up early today." "Good morning, Martha. I'm drawing the breakfast you're going to make." Martha laughed, looking at the paper. Emily had drawn perfect pancakes with strawberries on top and drops of honey dripping down the sides. "How did you know I was going to make pancakes?" "Because it's Saturday, and Saturday is Martha's special pancake day." Martha looked closer at the drawing. Emily had put great care into every detail, even drawing steam rising from the pancakes and a smiling sun in the corner of the paper. "It's beautiful, Emily. You're very talented. I'm going to hang it on the fridge when I'm done, so everyone can see you make the most beautiful food in the whole world." Something warmed Martha's heart. How long had it been since someone valued her work in the kitchen so much? In the restaurant, people ate quickly and left. Here, Emily turned every meal into a small celebration. She began to prepare the pancakes while Emily finished her drawing. The girl chatted non-stop about her plans for the day, about the books she wanted Martha to read to her, about the games they could invent in the garden. "Martha?" "Yes, sweetie?" "You're the best cook in the whole city. Actually, in the whole country." Martha smiled, flipping a golden pancake on the griddle. "Thank you, Emily. I'm so happy you like my food. It's not just liking it. Your food is better than any restaurant." Martha paused for a moment, spatula suspended in the air. Emily spoke with such conviction, such sincerity in her blue eyes. "Do you really think so?" "Of course I do. Daddy used to take me to very fancy restaurants before, but the food was bland, pretty, but soulless. Yours it tastes like joy and care." Martha felt something stir inside her chest, a small spark of something she had lost long ago. Confidence, hope, pride in her own work. "Tastes like joy," she repeated, smiling genuinely. "I really like that description. It's true. When I eat your food, I feel happy inside. Like I have good butterflies in my tummy." Richard came down a few minutes later, finding the kitchen filled with laughter. Emily was telling a funny story about a crazy dream she had, where all the pancakes in the world gathered to have a big party on the moon. "Good morning to you both," he said, observing the scene with growing affection. "Daddy, look at the drawing I made of Martha's food." Richard examined the paper carefully, feigning a serious analysis. "It's perfect, better than any expensive painting. Can I hang it in my office?" "You can, but I'm going to make an even prettier one for the fridge." During breakfast, Richard noticed something different about Martha. She seemed more relaxed, more present in the moment. She smiled more easily and responded to Emily's jokes with growing naturalness. "Martha, it's Saturday," he said. "You don't have to cook if you don't want to. We can order a pizza or go out to eat." "Boxed pizza is sad food," Emily immediately declared. Martha makes happy food even on weekends. Martha laughed, a lighter laugh than Richard was used to hearing. I don't mind at all. In fact, I really enjoy cooking for you. Are you absolutely sure? Absolutely. It's completely different from before. Different how? At the restaurant, I cooked because I had to work. Here, I cook because I want to make you happy. Richard nodded, understanding perfectly. Then prepare whatever you want to make. Emily and I are your official assistants today. Really? Emily almost jumped out of her chair. Can I really help? Of course you can. You're my head assistant. Emily clapped her hands, beaming. The whole morning was a completely new experience for Martha. Emily was an extremely enthusiastic assistant, even when she spilled flour on the clean floor or broke eggs, shell and all, into the bowl. Martha found that she didn't mind the mess one bit. In fact, she found it all very fun. So I now stir very slowly, Martha instructed patiently, guiding Emily's small hands in the chocolate cake batter. Is this right? Perfect. You have a good hand for cooking. Really? Can I be a cook like you when I grow up? You can be whatever you want, sweetie. Richard watched from the kitchen table, pretending to read the newspaper, but paying full attention to the interaction between them. There was an infinite patience in Martha's voice, a natural kindness that Emily absorbed like a dry sponge. Martha, said Emily, still stirring the batter with concentration. Yes? Can I ask you something kind of personal? Of course you can. Are you very sad sometimes because you lost your restaurant? Martha paused for a moment. Richard looked up from his newspaper, attentive to her answer. I am sad, sweetie. But you know what I've discovered living here. What did you discover? Sometimes we lose one thing to find something even better. Like what? Like you two. Like this wonderful kitchen. Like making you smile every morning. Emily stopped stirring the batter completely and hugged Martha's waist tightly. I lost something and gained you too. What did you lose? I didn't have a real friend before. Now I have the best friend in the world. Martha felt her eyes well up. She returned the tight hug, looking over Emily's blonde head at Richard, who was smiling tenderly. Then we both gained a lot, said Martha. We did. And Daddy gained something too. What did Daddy gain? Someone special to take care of us when he's working a lot, and happy food every day of his life. In the afternoon, Emily dragged Martha out to the extensive garden of the house. Come on, I want to show you all my favorite places. They started with the big tree with branches perfect for climbing. Emily climbed with the agility of a monkey, calling for Martha to follow her. I don't know if I can climb that, sweetie. It's been a long time since I've climbed a tree. Yes, you can. I'll teach you. I'm an expert at this. Martha laughed, but she tried. With Emily's constant help and cheerful encouragement, she managed to climb a few low branches. Look at this incredible view, said Emily, pointing to the whole garden. From the top of the tree, Martha could see the entire beautiful property, the well-kept garden, the blue pool, the imposing house, and she could also see Richard in his office window, watching them with a smile on his face. It really is beautiful, Martha agreed. Martha? Yes? Are you going to stay with us forever? The question hit Martha with a small jolt. She looked at Emily, seeing pure hope and a little bit of fear in her light blue eyes. I really hope so. Do you promise you'll try to stay? Martha hesitated for a few seconds. There was still a part of her that feared all of this was too temporary. That Richard would change his mind, that something would go very wrong. Emily, sometimes things change even when we don't want them to. But you want to stay, right? I really, really do. Then everything will be all right. My grandma always said that when you really want something good, the whole universe helps make it happen. Martha smiled, despite the anxiety she still held in her heart. Your grandma was a very wise woman. She was, and she would have liked you a lot. I'm sure of it. They climbed down the tree carefully and spent the rest of the afternoon playing in the garden. Emily taught Martha all the games she had invented, showed her every special corner of the garden, and told detailed stories about each flower and tree. This red rose is Emily number 1, she said, pointing. And that one over there Is Emily number 2? Why Emily number 1 and 2? Because Daddy planted them when I was born. 1 for each year I've been alive. Martha smiled, touched by Richard's kindness. What a beautiful idea. Every year he plants a new one on my birthday. We already have 5 Emily roses. Richard watched from the office window, pretending to work on reports. He saw Martha running after Emily in a lively game of tag, saw them hiding behind the large trees in an elaborate make-believe game, saw Emily teaching Martha how to make colorful flower crowns. The house was completely different. It was no longer silent. There was constant laughter, cheerful conversations, life pulsing in every room. In the evening, Emily made a special request to Martha. "Can you read me a story? In my room?" "Of course I can, sweetie." They went up to the room together. Emily's space was full of vibrant colors, stuffed animals, and dozens of drawings taped to the walls. Martha sat comfortably on the bed, while Emily chose a book. "To this one," she said, picking up a book about a brave girl who lived in a magical forest full of talking animals. Martha began to read in a soft voice, but Emily soon interrupted her. "Martha, you read differently than Daddy." "Different how?" "Daddy reads the words that are written. You tell the story as if it's really happening in front of us." Martha smiled with affection. "That's because I imagine the whole story really happening in my head. That's why it's 1,000 times more interesting and exciting." They continued reading, but Emily asked constant questions, created crazy theories about the characters, and suggested alternative endings for each chapter. Martha realized the girl didn't want the story to end because that would mean it was time for bed. "Emily will read more tomorrow, I solemnly promise." "Do you really, truly promise?" "I truly promise." Emily snuggled under the soft blankets. "Oh, Martha." "Yes, sweetie." "Can I tell you an important secret?" "You can tell me any secret. Before you came here, sometimes I was scared at night." Martha's heart ached. Scared of what? Of being too alone. Daddy works very late, and the house gets so quiet it's scary. "And how do you feel now?" "Now I'm not scared at all. Because I know you're nearby, taking care of us. I'll always be nearby, sweetie, always." Emily smiled, closing her blue eyes. "Good night, Martha. Thank you for being part of my family." Martha left the room with her eyes misty with emotion. In the hallway, she found Richard waiting. "How is she?" "Sleeping like an angel." "Richard." "She called me family again, and that's exactly what you are to us. Sometimes I still can't completely believe I'm here." Richard walked her to the stairs. "Martha, can I make an observation?" "Of course you can. You are completely different from the day you arrived. More alive. More present." "What do you mean?" "When you got here, you were always tense, as if you were expecting something bad to happen at any moment. Now you laugh naturally, you play, you seem much more relaxed." Martha thought for a long moment. "It's because for the first time in a long time I feel genuinely loved. You are very loved. By Emily, by me, by this whole house. Thank you for giving me this chance when I needed it most, Richard. Thank you for accepting our offer, for bringing so much joy into our lives." They went down to the living room together. Richard served warm tea for both of them. "Martha, can I ask you something personal?" "Of course you can." "What do you plan for the future?" "From now on?" The question made Martha tense up again. "What do you mean exactly?" "Do you plan to stay here with us, or are you making plans to open another restaurant?" Martha stirred her tea nervously, avoiding looking directly at him. I'm still very afraid to make big plans." "Afraid of what?" "Afraid that everything will go wrong again." "Afraid of losing everything again." Richard nodded, understanding completely. "It's natural to be afraid after everything you've been through. It's just that when I lost the restaurant, I lost much more than a business. I lost my identity, my self-esteem, my faith in the future." "And how do you feel now?" "Now I'm starting to believe again. Very slowly, but I am." "What are you believing in?" "That I can be good at something. That I can make a real difference in someone's life. That I deserve to be happy." Richard smiled sincerely. You make a big difference, Martha. In Emily's life, in mine, in this whole house. Sometimes it still feels like a dream that's too good to be true. Then I'll remind you every day that it's completely real. Martha smiled, feeling lighter. Thank you for everything. We're a family now. Families always support each other. That night, Martha went up to her room thinking deeply about the word family. Emily had called her family. Richard had too. For the first time since she had lost everything, she had a real place in the world where she belonged. She looked out the window at the garden where she had played with Emily that afternoon. She saw the tree they had climbed together, the flower bed where they had made flower crowns, the space where they had run and laughed until they were breathless. Maybe Emily was right. Maybe when you really want something good, the universe really does conspire to help it happen. Martha smiled at her reflection in the dark window. She was still afraid of the future, still carried painful scars from the past. But for the first time in a long time, she had real hope. And hope, she discovered in that moment, was the first ingredient of happy food. Martha put more effort into dinner that Thursday than ever before. She had woken up with a special inspiration and decided to prepare something truly exceptional. Grilled salmon with a crust of fresh herbs from the garden, creamy mushroom risotto she had learned from an Italian chef years ago, and a colorful salad with a special dressing that her grandmother kept as a family secret. For dessert, she prepared chocolate lava cakes with artisanal vanilla ice cream. Richard arrived home from work earlier than usual and stopped at the dining room door, completely impressed. The table was set as if it were a five-star restaurant, with lit candles, fresh flowers from the garden in the center, and the best dishes in the house. My God, Martha, this is absolutely incredible. Emily ran to hug him, jumping with excitement. Daddy! Martha made a real food party. Everything smells like heaven on earth. You didn't have to go to so much trouble, Richard said, but Martha could see the genuine pleasure in his eyes. I wanted to do something special today, she replied, a little shy but proud of the result. But why? Is it a special occasion? Martha blushed slightly. Just because you deserve special things every day. During dinner, Richard ate with a different kind of attention, savoring each bite slowly. He made detailed comments about the perfect seasoning of the salmon, the ideal creaminess of the risotto, the harmonious balance of flavors. Martha, this is on the level of the best restaurants in the city, he said, genuinely impressed. In fact, it's better than most. Better than any restaurant in the whole world, Emily declared with absolute conviction. Martha's food has real soul. Martha smiled, but Richard noticed something different in her expression. There was a complex mix of pride and melancholy, as if the compliment brought back both good and bad memories. Faze, where did you learn to make risotto like this? He asked. I worked with an Italian chef for a while when I was setting up my restaurant. He taught me a few secrets. And the salad dressing, my grandmother's recipe. She said it was the special touch that made people always come back. Richard noticed the sadness that crossed Martha's eyes when she mentioned the restaurant. After dessert, while Emily went to get a new drawing to show, Richard leaned towards Martha. Can I talk to you after Emily goes to bed? I have something very important to discuss. A knot formed in Martha's stomach. His serious tone scared her. Of course. Did something serious happen? No, nothing bad. Quite the opposite, in fact. Emily went to bed earlier than usual, tired after a full day of playing in the garden. Martha quickly tidied up the kitchen and found Richard in the living room, with 2 cups of tea already prepared. Martha, he began, placing the cup carefully on the small table. I need to talk to you about something very important. She sat on the edge of the sofa, mentally preparing for the worst. Maybe he was tired of having her there. Maybe he wanted her to look for another job. Maybe Emily was becoming too dependent on her. Your cooking is very good, he said, looking directly into her eyes. In fact, it's absolutely exceptional. Martha blinked several times, surprised by the unexpected direction of the conversation. Thank you. It's a waste for you to be here just as a housekeeper. Her heart raced uncontrollably. This was it. He was going to fire her. He was going to say she was too good to be a domestic worker. Richard, if I did something wrong. No, He held up both hands. You did absolutely nothing wrong. Quite the opposite. She waited in tense silence, completely confused about where the conversation was going. Martha, for months I've been thinking about diversifying my investments. I've always wanted to invest in something related to the food industry, but I never knew exactly where to start. She remained silent, not understanding. I'm seriously thinking about opening a restaurant. A restaurant? Yes, and I want you to be the head cook, the executive chef. Martha felt as if the world had completely stopped spinning. She heard the words clearly, but she couldn't process their full meaning. What? You have an absolutely incredible natural talent, Martha. Your food has something that you can't learn in an expensive culinary school. It has heart, it has soul, it has a special magic. Martha was in complete shock. Richard, every meal you prepare is a work of art. Not just the taste, but the way it makes us feel, the way it transforms our home. But I've already failed once. Failed completely. Everyone fails at some point in their life. It doesn't mean we shouldn't try again. It means we have experience. Just then, Emily appeared at the top of the stairs, still in her pajamas with messy hair. Can I come down for a second? I completely forgot to brush my teeth. Come on down, sweetie, said Richard. Emily ran down the steps and stopped abruptly when she noticed the seriousness of the conversation. What are you talking about with such serious faces? Martha was still processing everything. Your dad is proposing to open a restaurant with me. Emily was silent for exactly 3 seconds. Then she screamed with pure joy and jumped on the sofa. I told you, Daddy. I always told you. Her food is the happiest in the whole world. Emily, don't shout like that. But it's true, she continued, completely excited, jumping from one side to the other. Everyone will want to eat Martha's food. She's going to be the most famous cook in the whole city. The country, the planet. Richard laughed at his daughter's contagious excitement. See, Martha, Emily fully approves of the idea. Martha looked at both of them, feeling a confused mix of intense joy and paralyzing terror. Richard, it's incredible. But I need to think about it very carefully. Of course, take all the time you need. No rush at all. Emily came closer and hugged Martha tightly. You're going to say yes, right? Please, please, please. I'll think about it very carefully, sweetie. But you want to, right? I can see it in your eyes that you really want to. Martha felt her eyes well up. Emily was right. She wanted to, a lot, desperately. But the fear was infinitely greater than the desire. Yes, I want to, she admitted in a low voice. But I'm very scared. What are you scared of? Emily asked innocently. That everything will go wrong again. That night, Martha couldn't sleep a wink. She lay in bed staring at the dark ceiling, her mind spinning in endless circles without stopping. Her own restaurant again. The chance to go back to doing what she loved professionally. The opportunity to have a real business, to be independent, to achieve her dream a second time. But she also vividly remembered everything she had lost the last time. She remembered the terrible day she had to lay off her last employee. His tears, a young man with a pregnant wife and bills to pay. She remembered calling the suppliers, one by one, with a choked voice, explaining that she couldn't pay the outstanding bills. She remembered the horrible meeting with the property owner, where she signed the papers that officially closed Taste of Home. She remembered leaving the completely empty restaurant for the last time, carrying only a small box of personal belongings. She remembered crying alone in her car, knowing she had disappointed everyone who believed in her. She got up at 4 a.m, giving up on sleep completely. She went down to the kitchen, made chamomile tea, and sat at the table, watching the silent garden through the window. What would happen if she failed again? Richard would lose all the money he invested because of her, and worse still, he would lose the trust he had in her. Emily would lose the admiration she showed for her every day. And her, could she emotionally survive another devastating failure? At 6 a.m. sharp, Richard came down to the kitchen and found her still sitting at the table, with deep, dark circles under her eyes and an expression of complete exhaustion. Martha, did you get any sleep at all? I couldn't even close my eyes, she admitted, her voice hoarse. Richard sat in the chair next to her. concerned. "Do you want to talk about what's worrying you?" Martha took several deep breaths before she could speak. "Richard, I'm so afraid of failing again. It's completely natural to be afraid after what you've been through." "No, you don't completely understand," she interrupted, an urgency in her voice. "When my restaurant closed, it wasn't just a business that failed. I failed. As a person, as a professional, as a human being." Richard listened to her in respectful silence, seeing the pain in her eyes. "I had employees who depended on the salary I paid, suppliers who trusted me and gave me credit, regular customers who genuinely liked what I did, and I let everyone down." "Martha, and what if the exact same thing happens again? What if I let you down too, and Emily? I couldn't bear to see disappointment in your eyes." Richard reached out and held her hand on the table. "Martha, look at me." She raised her teary eyes, meeting his firm gaze. "If we fall, we will get up together. You won't be alone this time." "You'll never be alone again. How can you be so sure?" "Because now you have a real family. You have people who believe in you unconditionally, who will support you no matter what happens." Martha began to cry softly, tears of relief mixed with fear. "I'm so scared, Richard, so scared I'm not good enough." "I know you're scared. But the fear can't be bigger than the dream, and you have a real gift, Martha. And what if it doesn't work out anyway? And what if it does? What if it's the beginning of something absolutely incredible?" Just then, Emily came running down the stairs, still in her pajamas and with her hair a complete mess. "Good morning, family. Why is Martha crying? Was someone mean to her?" Richard gently motioned for her to come closer. "Martha is scared about the new restaurant we talked about last night." Emily immediately sat on Martha's lap and hugged her with all her might. "You don't have to be scared at all, Martha. Not one little bit. Why not? Because you are officially the best cook in the entire universe. And I will always be here to support you in everything." Martha hugged Emily tightly, feeling her heart warm. "Thank you, my dear." "Martha?" "Yes? If you cook at the new restaurant, I'll be the first person to eat there, every single day." Martha laughed through her tears. "Every single day?" "Every day. And I'll bring all my friends from school to meet you and try it too. And I'll tell everyone that you're part of my family." Richard smiled, seeing Martha begin to relax for the first time since the night before. "See? You already have a guaranteed customer base and free marketing." Emily continued excitedly. "And can I help choose the name of the restaurant? And the colors of the walls? And can I make drawings to hang up? And can I be the official taste tester for all the new dishes?" "Emily, calm down, sweetie." "No, Daddy. This is going to be the most amazing thing in the world. Martha is going to make everyone happy with her magic food." Martha looked at Emily, then at Richard, feeling something shift inside her chest. "Dad, you really truly believe it can work?" "We believe with all our hearts," they both said at the same time, without hesitation. Martha was silent for a long moment. She could still feel the fear very present, but also a small spark of hope beginning to grow and shine. "And if I say yes, what would it be like exactly?" Richard's face lit up visibly. "First, we would find the perfect location together. Then we would set everything up exactly your way. The menu would be completely yours. You would be the executive chef with total creative freedom." "And I could help with everything." Emily clapped her hands excitedly. "I could be the official taste tester and happiness consultant." Martha smiled genuinely for the first time since the conversation the night before. "Happiness consultant is a very important job title. I take it super seriously." Emily made a serious, professional face. "I will taste everything very carefully and give it a score from 0 to 10 for each dish. And what if some food gets a low score? Impossible. Your food always gets a 10, or an 11, or 1,000. Richard watched the interaction, seeing Martha relax and allow herself to dream again. "Martha, you don't have to decide right now. Think about it as long as you need." "Actually," she paused for a long time, looking at the two hopeful faces. "Actually, I think I already know my answer." Emily held her breath, her eyes shining with anticipation. "Yes," Martha said, her voice growing firmer and more determined with each word. "Yes, I really want to try again," Emily screamed with joy and hugged Martha with a strength disproportionate to her size. "I knew it. I always knew it. It's going to be the best restaurant in all of history." Richard smiled, feeling relieved and genuinely happy. "Are you absolutely sure, Martha?" Martha nodded, feeling an intense mix of fear and excitement running through her veins. "I am. I'm still very scared, but I want to try. I need to try. For myself, for you, for my dream." "Then we'll make it work," Richard said with total determination. "Together." "Yes, we will." Emily jumped onto Martha's lap. "And you know why it's going to work out great. Because now you have a whole family cheering for you and helping." Martha hugged Emily tightly, looking at Richard over the girl's blonde head. "Thank you," she whispered, emotional, "for believing in me when I couldn't believe in myself." "We will always believe in you," Richard said with sincerity. "Always and forever." In that special moment, sitting in the cozy kitchen with the two people who had become her true family, Martha felt something she hadn't felt in years: real, solid hope. The fear was still present, but now it shared space with genuine excitement, with a renewed desire to try again, with the absolute certainty that this time she would not be alone. This time she had a family, she had people who believed in her unconditionally, and maybe that was exactly the special ingredient that had been missing from the recipe the first time. The next morning, Martha woke up with a mix of nervousness and determination running through her veins. The conversation from the night before still echoed in her mind like a persistent echo. Richard had made the most incredible proposal of her life, and she was still processing every word. She went down to the kitchen at 7 in the morning, as always. Emily was already awake, sitting at the table with paper and colored pencils spread out. "Good morning, Martha," the little girl said, more excited than usual. "Good morning, sweetie. What are you drawing today?" "It's a very special surprise." Emily covered the paper with her hands. "I can only show you after lunch." Martha smiled, but noticed that Emily was watching her more attentively than usual, as if she knew something important was happening. She began to prepare breakfast with slightly trembling hands. Richard's proposal had affected her more than she had imagined. As she cracked the eggs, her mind wouldn't stop thinking about the possibilities and risks. Richard came down a few minutes later, watching Martha attentively. "How are you feeling today?" "Nervous," she admitted without hesitation. "Very nervous, but determined too." "That's an excellent sign." Nervousness and determination together usually create incredible things. During breakfast, Emily chatted about her plans for the day, but Martha noticed that the girl continued to watch her with curious eyes. For lunch, Martha decided to prepare something special and challenging. Perhaps it was a way to test herself, to see if she could still cook under pressure. She chose to make a shrimp risotto that required refined technique and constant patience. Each grain of rice needed to be perfect, the broth added in the exact amount, the final result creamy to the ideal degree. As she stirred the risotto constantly, she felt her hands sweating with nervousness. What if it didn't turn out well? What if she had lost her talent? What if the previous failure had affected her ability? "It smells really good," said Emily, appearing in the kitchen. "I hope it tastes as good as it smells." "It always turns out perfect. You don't know how to make bad food, Martha." Emily's simple confidence reassured her a little. Martha continued stirring the risotto, taking deep breaths to calm herself. When she served the dish, Richard took the first bite in silence. Martha waited anxiously, her heart racing. "Martha," he said finally, "this is absolutely perfect." She sighed with deep relief. "Really? Is it not bland? Is it cooked right?" "Better than any Italian restaurant in the city," Emily agreed vigorously, already on her second helping. Martha never disappoints, never. After lunch, Emily finally revealed her drawing. It was colorful and detailed, showing a small house with large windows and smiling people outside. Colorful flowers decorated the facade. At the top, in neat letters, it said, "Martha's Restaurant." "This is for you," said Emily, handing her the paper ceremoniously. "For when you open the new restaurant." Martha took the drawing carefully, feeling her eyes well up. "It's so beautiful, Emily. So beautiful. Do you really like it? I drew happy people because your food makes everyone happy." "I love it. I'll keep it forever." Emily smiled, satisfied. "You can hang it on the restaurant wall when it opens." Martha folded the drawing carefully and put it in her pocket. The day passed slowly. Martha cleaned the house with more attention than usual, trying to occupy her mind. But Richard's proposal never left her thoughts. In the afternoon, Emily helped her in the garden. While they were watering the plants, the girl asked an unexpected question. "Martha, are you going to accept Daddy's offer?" Martha stopped watering the flowers, surprised. "Why do you ask?" "Because you're different today, more thoughtful." "I am thinking a lot." "What are you thinking about?" Martha sat on the garden bench, pulling Emily onto her lap. "So I'm thinking if I'm brave enough to try again." "Of course you are. You're the bravest person I know." "Why do you think that?" "Because you already lost everything once, and you still make happy food every day. That's being very brave." Emily's simple words touched Martha's heart deeply. The girl was right. She had lost everything and continued to live, to cook, to try to be happy. "Thank you for saying that, sweetie." "It's true. And if you open the restaurant, I'll be your first official customer." Martha laughed. "Official? I'll make a membership card and everything." At night, after Emily went to bed, Martha was in the kitchen organizing the cabinets. In truth, she was trying to build up the courage to talk to Richard. He appeared around 10 o'clock, looking for a glass of water. "Still awake?" "Yes." "Richard, can I talk to you?" "Of course. Shall we sit?" They sat at the kitchen table. Martha took several deep breaths before she could speak. "If you're still willing, I accept." "I want to try." Richard's face lit up. "Are you sure?" "I am. I'm still terrified, but I really want to try again." Richard stood up immediately. "Give me a minute." He left the kitchen and returned with a black folder. He placed it on the table and opened it, revealing dozens of organized papers. "What's this?" Martha asked. "Drafts. Blueprints, ideas, concepts for the restaurant." Martha looked at the papers with growing surprise. There were detailed drawings of a cozy restaurant with huge windows, wooden tables, an open integrated kitchen. "You've already thought of all this?" "I've been thinking about it for months. I was just waiting to find the right person." Martha examined each drawing carefully. The restaurant in the drafts was exactly as she had always dreamed. Small, intimate, familiar, welcoming. "It's perfect," she said, her voice choked with emotion. "I can change anything you want." "You don't need to change a thing. For it's perfect just the way it is." Martha smiled through her tears, finally allowing herself to believe it was possible. "When can we start?" "Tomorrow, if you want." The following months passed in a whirlwind. Richard found the perfect location, a charming old house in the city center, with character and history. Martha supervised every detail of the renovation, from the color of the walls to the type of pots in the kitchen. Emily participated in everything, giving creative suggestions and making drawings to decorate the restaurant. Her enthusiasm was contagious to the whole team. The menu was created with love. Home-style dishes, recipes from Martha's grandmother, foods that warmed the heart. Nothing overly sophisticated, but everything made with perfection and care. 2 weeks before the grand opening, Martha could barely sleep from nervousness and anticipation. "What if no one comes?" she asked Richard. "They will come." "I'm sure of it." "How can you be so sure?" "Because your food is special, and special places always find the right people." The opening day arrived on a sunny Friday. Martha got to the restaurant at 5 in the morning, even though the opening wasn't until 6 in the evening. She checked every detail 1,000 times. The seasonings, the pots, the menu, the tables. Everything had to be impeccable. Richard arrived in the mid-afternoon with Emily, who brought a surprise. "What are you hiding?" Martha asked. "My opening gift," said Emily, showing a hand-painted sign, "Happy Food Made Here." Martha knelt and hugged the little girl, emotional. "It's perfect. We'll hang it at the entrance." At 6 o'clock sharp, they opened the doors. To Martha's surprise, there was already a small line outside. The first customers came in curious and left enchanted. The food was exactly what they expected. Delicious, homemade, made with care. The dining room slowly filled up. The smell of home-cooked food hung in the air, mixed with the cheerful buzz of conversations and laughter. Emily ran between the tables with contagious joy, showing the menu to everyone and explaining that Martha was part of her family. "Try the risotto," she would say to the customers. "It's the best in the universe." The sincere compliments began to pour in. "This tastes like home," said an elderly lady, moved. "I haven't eaten anything this delicious in years," commented a young couple. "It's like my grandmother is cooking," whispered a woman, with tears in her eyes. Richard watched everything from a table in the corner, proud and happy. His gamble had paid off. Martha was truly special. Behind the counter, Martha heard every compliment with a racing heart. Tears of emotion threatened to fall, but she had to focus on the kitchen. Around 9 o'clock, when the rush slowed down, she was finally able to leave the kitchen and observe the dining room, still full of happy people. Richard approached with a huge smile. "How are you feeling?" "I can't believe we did it," she said, wiping away her tears. "You did it, Martha." Martha looked around, seeing Emily talking to customers, seeing people smiling as they ate. "If it weren't for you two, I would never be here," she said with gratitude. "Thank you for believing in me when I didn't believe in myself." Emily ran to them and hugged Martha tightly. "Now everyone has happy food," she shouted, radiant. Martha hugged the little girl, looking at Richard over her blonde head. "Thank you," she whispered once more. "Thank you," he replied, "for making our dreams come true." That special night, when they closed the restaurant, the three of them sat at an empty table. Emily had fallen asleep in a chair, exhausted from so much running and talking. "Martha," said Richard, watching his sleeping daughter, "do you remember the first night we met? Like it was yesterday. Emily gave you her plate of pasta on the cold street. And it changed my life forever. It changed ours too." Martha smiled, watching Emily sleep peacefully. Who would have thought that a simple plate of pasta could change 3 entire lives? "The best things always start simple," said Richard. Martha agreed, looking at the silent restaurant around them. It was quiet now, but it still held the echo of the night's laughter and conversations. She had lost everything once. She had been on the street, without hope, without a future. But a generous 5-year-old girl had seen beyond appearances. She had seen a person who deserved a chance, and that chance had turned into a real family, and the family had turned into a dream come true. Martha smiled deeply, finally at peace. Sometimes, the best things in life begin with the simplest gestures. Like sharing a plate of pasta with a stranger on a cold night, or like believing that everyone deserves a second chance to be happy. The story had ended where it began, with food made with love, with true affection, and with the certainty that small gestures of kindness can change the entire world forever. A plate of pasta, a generous little girl, a father who believed, a woman who started over, 4 lives transformed by the magic of happy food. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next ones. Leave a like because it helps this story get recommended to more people. See you in the next story.